Welcome, ladies and gentlemen, to this special broadcast. And we're really saying here on Times Now, India's proud of ISRO. That's our hashtag, ladies and gentlemen, because tonight the feat that they've accomplished is something that puts India on the moon fairly and squarely. 2.1 kilometers from the surface of the moon is when our lander Vikram lost contact with base station at ISRO in Bengaluru. But the orbiter is still around the moon, and as I introduce Madhav Das Gopalakrishnan, Madhav, we still have hopes that we will get data, we will get information coming in from that orbiter before we actually begin to analyze what really happened in the last mile, last 2.1 kilometers of Vikram landing on the moon.
Absolutely. And Navika, as one of the panelists was pointing out earlier, the fact is that unlike the Earth's atmosphere, which actually leads objects to crash or to lead objects to burn up, there's nothing that actually constricts a lander on the lunar surface in that sense. So 2.1 kilometers, what could have possibly gone wrong? Perhaps only a further analysis of the data will really detail. But what one must remember is that the lander itself has been so critical to this mission. It was in fact the beginning of the development of the lander itself began only 3 years ago, because it was Roscosmos which was supposed to develop this lander. That agreement did not work out. ISRO on its own, using indigenous technologies, using indigenous capacities, actually built this lander, and that's why it is very, very commendable. One will of course have to see what the orbiter details in terms of further data analysis, but perhaps it's a bit too early to call it off.
Well, it's extremely important to put right here on record, as the Prime Minister said just a short while ago, that ISRO is successful and India's proud of ISRO, and be courageous was his message.
Let me quickly go across to K. Siddhartha, space scientist, who's also joining us here in our studios. Mr. Siddhartha, the challenge when you look at it technically was, moving or hurtling from a speed of about 1.5 kilometers a second to bringing it down to as low as 2 meters a second. That's the kind of braking that was required. Technically speaking, it is a huge challenge. What really can we surmise at this point of time? There's more data analysis, of course, waited from the ISRO. Could have been really the challenges that ISRO and Vikram in particular, the lander, could have faced.
If you take a look at the trajectory of it, what you're going to find is it couldn't go on to follow the trajectory exactly the way it was. It went on to become steep. Now, the moment it goes on to become steep, it goes on to pick up more amount of a speed to fall, all in all. And of course, at certain point of a time, it went on to lose it. Now, there are two possibilities in this. One of the, we are speculating, of course, one of these possibilities that it went on to have a free fall thereafter. Second has been, that is, as we have been talking about, that is the shadow part. And third is that is the data, that is the communication was lost because something actually went terribly wrong. Now, these are the three aspects that we can go on to contemplate. And at this point of time, we can only go on to contemplate. The difficulty is there, but then it's not such type of an insurmountable difficulty, because these are the difficulties that we have encountered on moon before as well, and we have tested it on the Earth as well, and in such type of a condition we have simulated that. We have simulated on a supercomputer, we have simulated on a GIS system as well. So all of these things have happened here. So it was only to be tested on a moon, and in science there is nothing called as a failure at all. There is absolutely no failure, because each of this time that you go on to have certain type of obstacle, you always tend to improve, and science has always improved upon some of these aspects. We do going to be having an orbiter as a, let's say we can go to say as a gesture of it, of success. And the best part is that we went on to explore the southern portion of moon, which has been completely untouched by the sun's rays. Completely untouched by sun's rays for the last 4.5 billion years of sorts. That means we are going to be exploring that part, at least in terms of remote sensing, or in terms of the 360-degree imagery that we are going to be picking up from the orbiter, and that we still going to be getting some amount of data if somehow we are hoping against hope that is the lander is no more with us.
Dr. K. Siddhartha, you were making a point, and how very important was this entire portion where the lander Vikram came onto the surface of the moon and then to the rover, do you think there is any chance of a retrieval of that communication link? At
Yes,
this
because the communication is lost. And moon doesn't going to be having a type of atmosphere like a thermosphere that we have on the earth, where any of the extraneous objects that goes into get burnt up because the pressure goes into increase to such an extent it's not able to withstand it. 4,000, 5,000 degrees centigrade happens to be the temperature conditions in the thermosphere. There's nothing of this sort on the moon. Moon's gravitation at least is 1/7 of what exactly is going to be on the earth. So even if you suppose that there has been a failure of the thrust system of the lander, it may have landed somewhat, not softly but not too hard, and it still goes on to be in some type of a position, and maybe in certain amount of a time we are able to retrieve that communication. That is a possibility. This possibility is still not lost. We do going to be having a data up till 2.1 kilometers, and maybe who knows that it goes on to get revived. But I was going to be adding something to what Dr. Sen Gupta went on to say. The biggest advantage of orbiter roaming around the polar orbit is it was launched ostensibly with the aim of two things. That is to see whether the conditions for the human beings are conducive enough in this case or not. So it was to look for water, which of course we are going to be looking at it now. The second was that is to take a look at the solar winds and the X-rays that go on to be striking the moon's surface. Now, if it is able to analyze that properly, it will still be a good amount of work that will be done.
All right.
And just think of it, that is everything went well, as one of these panel members was talking about. 2.1 kilometers is still a success. It's not a failure, and we have landed on the moon. That is, there is no doubt on that part at all.
Right.
It's a different matter that we may have been a ragtag condition, who knows, but we have landed.
Let's just go back and listen in to that message coming in from Prime Minister Modi, because he said ups and downs in life is something that goes on, but it is our time to be courageous. Listen in to Prime Minister Narendra Modi.
Small thing that we have achieved. Be courageous. I'm always happy. जब मैं देख रहा था कि अब कम्युनिकेशन ऑफ हो गया है, तो मैं देख रहा था आपके सारे चेहरे एकदम से हो गए। लेकिन ये कोई छोटा अचीवमेंट नहीं है जो आप लोगों ने किया। देश आप पर गर्व करता है और आपकी इस मेहनत ने बहुत कुछ सिखाया भी। और जैसा मुझे बताया सब साइंटिस्टों ने कि अगर फिर से कम्युनिकेशन शुरू हुआ तो फिर तो ये बहुत सारी चीजें हमें देता रहे। तो होप फॉर द बेस्ट। लेकिन मेरी तरफ से आपको बहुत बधाई है। बहुत उत्तम सेवा की है आपने देश ने। आपने बहुत बड़ी सेवा की है विज्ञान की, और आपने बहुत बड़ी सेवा की है मानव जात की। इस पड़ाव से भी हम बहुत कुछ सीख रहे हैं। आगे भी हमारी यात्रा जारी रहेगी और मैं पूरी तरह आपके साथ हूं। हिम्मत के साथ चलें। और आप ही के पुरुषार्थ से फिर से देश खुशी बनाने लग जाएगा, मुझे विश्वास है। विश यू ऑल द बेस्ट। थैंक यू।
Well, in the Prime Minister's words, the journey is on and there is no space for negativity, because we are looking at our next objective, our next goal, our next target. And as we wrap up this special broadcast tonight, the one word that entire country will be saying is India is proud of ISRO. Isn't that, Mother?
Well, absolutely. And India continues to be proud of ISRO. And I'm sure when we're looking at Gaganyaan, when we're looking at a space station, ISRO will continue to make huge strides and establish its credentials as one of the great spacefaring nations of the world. Navik.
Well, and ISRO will be there, and Times Now will be there, and we'll be together waiting after Chandrayaan for Gaganyaan. Ladies and gentlemen, signing off from this broadcast, good night from us. We'll see you another time tomorrow with another story and another broadcast.
Thanks for
Thank
watching.
you very much.